Welcome to this episode of the Mobile Classroom, the video podcast where we demonstrate today's most popular technologies. I'm James Messer, and this week I'm going to give you an overview of what I think are some of the must-have applications that you can run on your Windows desktop that aren't the primary major things you might use during the day, but they're these great little helper applications that you'll run across that really help you get the major things in your day done. We're going to go through a lot of very interesting applications and some that I don't even think that I remember using. But once I started listing these out, I realized I've got quite a few that I run on my desktop every day that gives me a lot of help with what I'm doing. For those of you that have watched our podcast for a while, you know that every third podcast of ours is a members-only podcast. Well, this one is absolutely free. We're in that middle spot right now. So if you're watching this podcast, you'll be able to see the entire thing for absolutely free. This is not a preview version. If you are a mobile member, however, you will have access to one that is in a much higher resolution, an HD resolution of 1280 by 720. That's 720p resolution. Looks really nice on your screen. If you'd like to also look there at some of our other videos, you may notice every third video is for mobile members. So if you're looking at a particular video, it's only 5 minutes long, and it's just a preview video, that's why. If you're a mobile member, you actually get to see the entire video from end to end. If you'd like more information on becoming a member and helping support our podcast, you can find out at our website, themobileclassroom.com/members. So what are some of these must-have helper applications? You're probably running something like this on your machine. I think I'm just going to encapsulate everything here to give you a feel for what I'm doing. First, instant messaging is really important. I know we live in a world of Twitter. I know we live in a world of Facebook updates, but instant messaging, especially in a business type environment, does have its place and can be extremely useful and functional. But if you've ever had to deal with instant messaging, you know there's instant messaging on Yahoo, there's instant messaging from Google, there's instant messaging from MSN. There is also other instant messagings that are completely open. There's a way to integrate all of these things together with a very nice free application. I'm going to show you how to do that in this episode. If you are someone who does take advantage of tweeting, we, of course, at the Mobile Classroom have our own Twitter account. I have other Twitter accounts that I use for things that I do in technology. There are some very nice front ends and graphical views and ways to organize these tweets together that can really help you out, especially if you're trying to get information about a particular thing or trying to contact people about a particular subject or a topic. I'll show you how I do some of these tweets and how this very nice intelligent desktop for this Twitter type front end can be really useful to you. Also, things that are important to me are things like taking notes. I have notes for everything. An idea goes into a note. Things that I need to do on a to-do list go into a note. The list of things I need to buy from the grocery store, it all goes into a note. My notes follow me on my desktop. They automatically are replicated and follow me automatically through my mobile devices. I can have other people look at my notes, and when I update notes on my mobile device or my desktop, everybody gets to see it immediately. Very nice integrated note-taking. I'm going to show you how to do that today. And lastly, we're going to talk about files in the cloud. I share files with people all the time. Some of these files are really big. I contribute to podcasts. I put my podcast distribution, my contribution to those out in the cloud, in the internet, and that everybody who is connected or is shared to those folders out there can see those files. I'm going to show you exactly how we do all of these things today in this episode. Integrated instant messaging. It's something that we have struggled with for a number of years. There are a few products out, some that you can pay for and some that are absolutely free that can start consolidating these things together. I'm going to show you one that I use on my Windows desktop that works on almost anybody's system. If you're a fan of consolidated instant messaging clients, then you probably already know about Pigeon. Here's Pigeon. It's purple and it's a pigeon, except it's spelled Pidgin. You can find it at www.pigeon.im. So Pigeon is this really nice instant messaging client. But one of the things is, first, it's a nice IM client, but it also consolidates together a lot of different networks. This is one of the things that I really like about this is no matter who I find or what instant messaging network they're on, I can automatically connect with them and talk with them because I can do AIM, Google Talk, IRC, QQ, same time, Zephyr, etc., etc. This is very comprehensive, and because it is something that is available and developed on the net, and it is free, and there are extra plugins that go along with it, extremely usable, extremely extensible, and there's always some work being done on it. So I know there's always going to be new features. If there's a bug, there's always going to be a bug fix for it. It's easy to download and install for Windows. There are other versions as well that you can download. So depending on the environment that you're using, you can also have a version of Pigeon that's perfect for you. Here's a good example of this. This is the download page for Pigeon. There's Windows. You can pull down the source directly. CentOS and Fedora Core for you, and Ubuntu for you people that are you Linux users. There's also Mac OS X. So if you're running in a Mac environment, this is also the same client, the same front end. If you use it on one, you can easily use it on any of the others. Now, I've already downloaded it and put it on my machine. For those of you that remember using some other download capabilities like Ninite, it's also out there, and you can download it from ninite.com and have it installed automatically on your desktop as well. Let me give you an idea of what it looks like. I've started Pigeon. I already have a number of accounts configured within my Pigeon. So it's already brought up a number of my categories and the number of my buddies. And I have some that are logged in. I've collapsed these particular categories of my buddies and my coworkers and my friends so that you don't see the names of those people out there just from a privacy perspective. But I did want to show you that you can adjust and create groups and put these things in any order you want. What's nice about this is it doesn't matter what network they're on. They could be on a different network, and you can put them all under coworkers. So it's very easy to consolidate things together. Now, before we get to that point, we would probably want to add our login accounts for those services. So let's step through that piece. Before we do that, let me show you how you would manage these accounts. I'm going to go to the accounts pull down here and go to manage accounts. And you can see I have 3 accounts that I've added in here to give you a feel for how this is used across different networks. I have one on AOL Instant Messaging, or AIM. My username there is Protocol Decode. I have one for Yahoo. It's James M. Boy, I had to get in there pretty early to get James M out on the Yahoo network. And for Google Mail, profmesser@gmail.com gets you to my account on Gmail. Now, with any of these, if I wanted to look into it, I could modify one of these. This is my Yahoo account, and you can see the basic configuration is there. I can even create a local alias that's seen on my screen so that it doesn't just show James M. It might show James at Yahoo. That's something so that you can help understand. That helps you a lot when you start adding buddies to this and you forget who that XLRV74X username is. You can actually put the name Bob associated with it. That certainly helps sometimes. You can get mail notifications for these. You can also use a different icon for the account, and those are used across those accounts when somebody pops up their instant messaging, obviously. There are other advanced options if you want to connect to a different server or a different port number that's used, or in your environment, perhaps you're using a proxy to be able to communicate out with instant messaging. You can specify the type of proxy and use in your environment. Now, if you have no idea what I'm talking about with a proxy, then you probably aren't using a proxy and you don't have to worry about that. If you connect out to Yahoo just fine without a proxy, then you're just fine in that scenario. If you'd like to add buddies to this list, there's a buddy pull-down menu, and you can either create a brand new instant message right from here. You can join an existing chat. This is really useful if you connect to an IRQ network and you want to join into a large group of people, or you can add a buddy or a chat or a group, and you can specify all of these accounts that you've configured in Yahoo. You can put in your buddy's name. Maybe it's Bob. You could say, this is Bob. Or actually, let's put a better name. Let's say it's Bob, but Bob's really Yahoo name, nobody's really going to have Bob, I think is XLR50534WW. So now whenever we add this into this list, we're going to call him that he's going to be in just this bot's account. I'm going to put him there because Bob doesn't really exist. And it's unable to add him because he's not really out there. But we knew that. But that gives you an idea of how easy it is when you click that button to add that person into the mix. And at that point, they will be added into whatever category you put them there. And you can, of course, grab them and stick them in another category if you'd like. Very flexible in how this works. There are other tools available in here as well. One of the things I really like about Pigeon is it's very extensible. There are plugins associated with this. Some plugins already come with this and are enabled. So let's say you're connecting out and you are connecting to an IRQ network, and you are able to watch chats go by, and you get messages on your screen with things like IRC, IRQ, Yahoo used to have groups, those types of groups available. You can join part hiding, which means if somebody joins it or leaves, you can hide that message from coming up. Or maybe when somebody instant messages you, there's something called a psychic mode, which means a screen pops up prior to them actually hitting enter on the other end. You know someone is about to send you an instant message. It pops up a screen, then you know. You wait a few moments, and finally you see the message come in when they hit enter. So sometimes that's useful in the psychic mode. Notice it doesn't work on all networks, but does have a lot of great capabilities. And all these other things as well. You've got all of these other capabilities. You can automatically set up transparency. You can have a separate release notification so you know when the new version of Pigeon comes out. You can set up a buddy ticker, so there's a buddy list that's always scrolling by with what's going on. A lot of nice features, things you never even see in other instant messaging clients. A lot of great preferences in here as well. If I click here, you can change the way things look. There are themes within Pigeon. There are ways that you can look at the way that the formatting is on the messages going back and forth. The themes available for things like smileys, so you can send across these emotions in your text messages. If you want to have sounds, you can mute every sound in here or set up sounds on everything. It's up to you. And of course, you've got options for your networking, for your logging, and then what happens if you were to go idle. And I've changed a number of these preferences that are very specific to me and how I work. This is one of the things that I love about Pigeon, is that it works the way I work. I have an option in there for almost everything that I'm doing. So if you're now struggling with loading up a separate instant messaging client for Yahoo, a separate instant messaging client for MSN, you just want to see everything consolidated together, then Pigeon is the app for you. If you're someone who is familiar with Twitter, you've had a look at the technology, or perhaps you use it every day, you know what a great use it can be to first communicate with other people, but also to find out what's going on in the world. A lot of people don't realize there's a lot of great news gathering and information gathering resources on Twitter. A lot of people who've never really spent a lot of time on Twitter think of it's nonsense. Who cares if somebody goes to the store? I don't really care if somebody's out and somewhere and going to a restaurant. What you do want to know, however, if, for instance, I was in California recently and we had an earthquake, I want to know immediately information about the earthquake. If you are in a particular city and you'd like information about what people are doing in that city that night, a great resource available. Or if you happen to have a particular topic that interests you, a passion of yours, something that's a hobby or something for work, you can add it into Twitter and keep track of what people are saying about that particular topic. Let me show you how I manage that process on my desktop. Just like with instant messaging, there are a lot of clients that allow you to use Twitter, but the one that I really like, and I like it because it works not just on my Windows desktop, but it will also work on a Mac OS desktop. It'll work on a mobile device, is something called TweetDeck. TweetDeck allows you to really organize the way that you use Twitter, and it integrates with other services as well. This is the TweetDeck website at tweetdeck.com. A lot of great capabilities here. I've already downloaded it and put it in my computer, but notice not only does it do Twitter, but also if you're doing other things like Facebook, you're someone who uses MySpace, and other networks are available on here as well. You can configure your TweetDeck to be able to get updates from those as well. So you don't have to keep checking in Facebook. You don't have to keep checking in on your Twitter feed. If you want to see what's going on, you can simply have this one screen up and it consolidates everything together for you. Let me show you my TweetDeck and we can have a look at how I use this. If you're someone who has not used Twitter before, it might be worth talking a little bit about the things we see on the screen so you can relate them back to the way that Twitter works. With Twitter, you're able to put messages out onto a central feed, and if someone subscribes to that feed, they can see what you happen to be saying at that time. Usually you get your friends all together and you all join each other's networks, and when one person sends a message from their mobile phone or from their desktop, you see the message pop up on your mobile phone or your desktop. You can also follow people who you may be interested in knowing more about. If there's a particular person you follow in a podcast, they may have a feed and you can see immediately when they send information out about their podcast. There are a number of celebrities, another number of sports and news agencies that also have Twitter feeds to keep you updated on what's going on during the day. You also have the ability to send direct messages to the people there so that you can, if you've subscribed to somebody's feed, you can communicate privately back and forth that nobody sees. Otherwise, everything that you're putting out on Twitter is completely open. So there's some public aspects of it and private aspects of it. There are also things called mentions where you can put somebody's name in there, and their Twitter name usually begins with an @sign, and you would put the name of the person's Twitter account in there so they can send you messages, but everybody can see the conversation that you're having. Again, another way to keep things open and available. Now, Twitter also has an API, something called an application programming interface. And for someone who's not a programmer, that means nothing really. But for somebody who is a programmer, you can now tap into what's going on Twitter and ask Twitter very specific things and have Twitter respond back with the answer to that very specific bit of questions that you're asking. I live in Tallahassee, Florida, so therefore I have a Twitter feed here, a search that I've done, and anytime anyone mentions the word Tallahassee, it puts a message up. These are private messages or public messages going back and forth. It adds it to that list of things going on in Tallahassee. So I now get to know when things are happening around town. For instance, I know that there's a Spread the Love fundraiser today at the Railroad Art Square. I know that somebody's talking about the fact that we don't have an Apple store in Tallahassee and how much we would love to have one. As somebody who has been in Tallahassee, who's moving out, somebody who is stopping by a restaurant, somebody who saw something interesting, we all get to see those because they're public, but unless you were searching really for it, you wouldn't be able to find it. With all of these messages going by, a great way to consolidate that together. Now, I'll also tell you this TweetDeck, you'll notice it's called TweetDeck because you get to put these things together in a deck-like view. You can change where things are on the screen. You can add and do a lot of interesting things with this. What's nice about moving things around like that is you're able to take advantage of this very flexible environment, and you can really make things look exactly the way you'd like. If you would like things to be bigger on the screen, you can make them bigger. If you'd like to make them smaller on the screen, you can make them smaller. Setting up TweetDeck is pretty easy. In fact, you can either have TweetDeck set up like this, which is a bit of a standalone mode. You can also have a login into the TweetDeck website, and every time you make a change here or add a new column to your TweetDeck, it saves the information about that column on TweetDeck servers. Now, if you load up your iPhone or your other mobile device or another desktop, you can use the same username and password, and it will simply pull down all of the things that you've previously configured. So that makes it really fast and really easy to use. If I was to go to its settings, you'll start to see some of that. Here are the TweetDeck settings. The general settings, you could say exactly the way you'd like things to look on the screen. You can start to see here, this build or this version of TweetDeck, even though it's called what they call beta, it's gone through a number of iterations, and they keep adding new capabilities and new features all the time. For Twitter itself, you could see how you would like to use this Twitter, how much of this Twitter API you would like to use to be able to see the things on your screen. You only have a limited amount of API you can use every hour. So you can't go whole hog and start doing a search every 5 seconds, or else Twitter will stop allowing you to do that. So you can adjust how often you're going out and grabbing that information. You can also change how you're notified. Windows will pop up on the screen, maybe just like summary information. Where do you want this to appear on the screen? What do you want it to sound like? What do you want the sound to be and how loud when it happens? Change the colors. I've got mine very dark. I think this is the original view that came with it. But you can also change some of the fonts and some of the other information in here as well. But look at all of these services that are available on here for shortening URLs, for doing things like tweet photo. You can also use TweetPic and YFrog, and the accounts themselves. I'm doing a Facebook and I'm doing a Twitter, but I can also add MySpace and LinkedIn to this. So now we're starting to see this consolidation of these social networking sites because each one of these is used really for very different things. You probably only have a Facebook or a MySpace account, since generally those are very personal, but you might have many Twitter accounts. You also might have a LinkedIn account that you use for professional reasons. So you may have many different things going on all the time. This TweetDeck really allows you to consolidate those things together, so it makes it very easy. Let's say that you'd like to add some new columns to this. I'm going to click this plus sign up here for add column. It says, where is this column coming from? Is it Facebook? Is it Twitter? Is it LinkedIn? How would you like to do this? If this is going to be a search column, we can simply add the search here. If this is going to be a group list column that's coming from a particular Twitter account, you can use that particular list. That's a new capability in Twitter if you haven't seen that. If you want to group together a list of things, a list of people, and put them into a list, it allows other people to see your list and keep track of it as well. You may have a list of news sites. You may have a list of people that you like to follow. You may have a list of podcasts that are really important to you, and you can share those lists with other people. And you can, of course, keep track of that right here. There's also core capabilities. If there's a particular user, if you want to put direct messages in here, you can put different columns for things that TweetDeck might recommend. Let's do that one. It adds a new column here for TweetDeck recommends, and you can see things that might interest you. If you see any of these people that you'd like to follow, you simply click the follow button, and from that point on, it shows up in your all friends list, which makes it very, very easy to find new content and see very interesting things that are going on in the Twitter community. If you want to post something to Twitter, you simply can compose an update. I have a Facebook account in here and my Professor Messer account in here. And if I want to post something from Professor Messer, I would simply type it into this up here and hit enter, and it would send that out. And everybody who's subscribed to Professor Messer would see that message that I sent out. It's really just that easy from this single view. I find I'm not even logging into the Twitter website very much anymore. I'm simply going here and doing everything from this front end. So a very nice consolidated view. You can find it all at tweetdeck.com. I mentioned earlier that I am a note taker. I take a lot of notes. I try to put a lot of things into my computer. I have ideas off the top of my head when I'm walking down the street. I like to get those ideas on something in my phone, on a piece of paper, or in my computer in some way so that later on I can go back and work with those. Or somebody may give me something to do, or I may need to return someone's call, or I may need to capture something on my screen for later and just store it off somewhere so that later on I can go have a look at it. And what's most important to me is I need access to that. If I write something down or type something in one place, I need it to follow me. I need it to be everywhere I am. And so I have found a front end for note taking that allows me to have that level of flexibility and be able to share those notes with other people. Let me show you all about Evernote. Evernote is the solution I use to keep track of what's going on in my world, and I can really save a lot of different things. I can put pictures in there. I can add PDF files into it. I can add documents. I can add videos. I can type things in. It is really a one-stop place that allows me just to store the things that are important to me in this centralized place. I have an account that I've already created here. It's absolutely free for the basic service to be able to have those capabilities. There's a premium service as well. If you're someone who becomes a real power user of Evernote, you have a lot of people accessing your notes, you need a lot of room for your notes online, you can also look at getting into the premium service. Let me show you what I'm doing with Evernote, some of the capabilities that are here. Here's my Evernote desktop. You can see that it's pretty blank here. I've created a separate notebook here. You can have many different notebooks available. I have a number of notebooks already with notes in them. I can create a new note, or I can ink a note. Here's an ink a note that I've got one selected. I can simply add and create something in my mind where I can draw on the screen with information or share something with other people, draw pictures, add other capabilities to this. It's something that allows me to start thinking in my mind about what I'd like to put on a note, and I just create it. But maybe what you'd like to keep in a note is something that is just text information. Maybe somebody has just told you need to go to the grocery store, you need to get eggs, you need to get milk, and don't forget to get new light bulbs. Now I've just typed it into my computer. I'm not taking my computer with me to the grocery store, but one of the things I can do is hit this sync button up here, and it now takes all of my notes on my desktop and puts them out in the cloud. It puts it on Evernote server. And now all I have to do is grab my phone and go to the store. And on my iPhone, I simply turn on and select my Evernote. Now, Evernote on the iPhone is now synchronized with all of this, and all of my notes that are on this phone all sync up with this. I don't know if you're going to be able to see the message that I have here, but I'm going to go to my notes on here, and on this, here is a note that talks about, you aren't able to see this at all on the video. You're able to see there's eggs, milk, and light bulbs. It immediately follows me everywhere I go. This is the idea of just keeping track of where you are and organizing things in a different way. It's not a game changer. It doesn't really change the way I work. It's more of a way for me to keep track of things in my life. Here's another great capability. Now that I have Evernote up, there are the ability here. I'm going to go to my options and show you some of these. You have other hotkeys that you could set. For instance, if you wanted to capture things on your screen, there's a print screen option here. Let me show you how that works. Let's say we were looking at the Evernote website. Let me pop that up. Here's the Evernote website, and I want to know more about going premium. So I click that. It tells me what's here, and I really like what it's telling me there. I'd like to save this. So if I hit my print screen button, I get this on the screen that says click and drag to clip a portion of the screen. All right, well, that sounds good. Let me click and drag it and put that in it right there. It takes a snapshot, and that's it. Now it's gone. It says one note added down here in Evernote. And if I click that, notice in my Evernote screen, whatever I happen to see on the screen right then is now my notes. And of course, because it's in my notes, I can synchronize that view. And now in my synchronization, I can go to my iPhone, I can go to another desktop, and I'll be able to see that. I'll be able to know exactly what was there at that time, and I can store it in here forever if I'd like to. What a great way to start capturing information right then. It's in my notes. I don't have to think about it. A really nice way to keep track of these things. Now, I mentioned earlier that other people can also have access to this. This is another nice capability of this, is that it's not just for me. I may want to have other people see all of these things in this particular notebook. You can log on to your account on the Evernote website, and there is a sharing capability. You can simply have other people get an Evernote account, and you can send them the permissions to be able to read what's in this notebook or to read and write, modify, and add to this notebook. There's a lot of really nice capabilities there. I have a set of notes that I make available to people I know that provide with tips and tricks, and all of these notes, I can tell them, oh, just let me know what your email address is. I'll send you the request form, and now you can become part of the people that get to see this. And when I add new notes, they see my new notes. What a great way to centralize everything you need for your note taking and to keep things straight in your life. Just like you would share notes in the cloud, there's also some capabilities to be able to share files in the cloud. This file sharing capability allows you to do a lot of different things. Some people will simply store centralized documents there and allow you to collaborate with other people. Maybe you'd like to store configuration files there so that if you go to another computer and load up the applications you can use the same configuration files so that the desktop on the new computer looks and feels the same as the desktop or application on your existing computer. Or maybe you just like to be able to put some files out there for other people to retrieve later on. You can do all of that with a technology and a capability called Dropbox. The Dropbox website, boy, talk about a minimalist view. This is it. Very, very simple. You can do only a couple of things here. You can watch a video, or you can download it. Notice it's absolutely free for Windows, for Mac, for Linux, and for iPhone. So again, you've got that capability where one application can move with you and go all over the place. You can retrieve things from your iPhone. You can put information into your desktop. You can share them with other people on the net so they have access to it. A lot of great capabilities. Once you download Dropbox and install it, you'll get a little box that's in your system tray. Let's see if we can see the system tray on my computer. We'll close this out. Here's my little Dropbox view. I'm going to open my Dropbox folder, and it's just another folder that is inside of my same Windows Explorer that I use today. Now you can see I've got a lot of different capabilities in this Explorer to be able to just have a normal folder and drop things into it and do other pieces with it. There's a public folder already out there. If I put something there, everybody out on the net can see it. I have a folder for PvP. I contribute to a podcast called The Instance. I do a player versus player segment of that. So I drop my podcast episodes into my private PvP folder, and Scott Johnson, who has that podcast, can then access the PvP folder and simply download what's there. And from where he has complete access to all of the different little segments that I'll do for the podcast. You can share any type of file this way. If you can put it on your hard drive, you can put it into Dropbox. So the sky's the limit. Just think about the ways that you would like to share pictures with people, share audio with people, and be able to have them see immediately whenever you add information into that view. they will see it on their screen immediately. They'll be able to access it immediately, and you'll be able to access it as well seamlessly. Even when you turn your computer off and you're on your iPhone, you'll still have the files available. Very, very different way of working with files that we've had before, and really taking advantage of what's out there in the cloud and how we can really, really use that. If we were to log into the Dropbox website, it has a similar front end to what we were just looking at on our Windows Explorer. I can, of course, drill down into this. So even if you're on a computer that doesn't have that Dropbox integration, you don't have it available, you can simply go to the website. All the files are here. You can upload files. You can download files. You can share folders. You can do a lot of things from there. In fact, there's capabilities on the website you don't even have on some of the client capabilities. There's also a way to keep track of recent events to see what's sharing out there. And of course, your online help is there. And this is really an interesting way to start sharing files, and one that I know if you start using it, you start getting hooked. There's different things you can do with it. I find new things to do with Dropbox all the time. So give it a shot, see what you think. You may find that it really improves what you're able to do with your file sharing, your collaboration, and working and sharing files with other people. That brings us to the end of this episode of the Mobile Classroom. Hopefully you've been able to see how just some very simple helper applications can really change the way that you use the internet, the way that you collaborate with other people. A lot of nice functionality, and everything you saw today absolutely free. If you'd like to know immediately when we put a new version, a new episode out on the network, you'll be able to see it at twitter.com/mobileclassroom. We've also got a Facebook page that you can join from our website at themobileclassroom.com. And of course, if you'd like to send me a message directly, you can always send me an email at james@themobileclassroom.com. Thanks a lot for joining us. We'll see you next week on The Mobile Classroom.